Mic'd up with Jake and Fulton, coming to you on a Tuesday. Is this thing on? Is this thing working? Did I push the on button? Is this how this thing goes? Been a while. Fulton, how are you, my friend?
Good. It's been quite a minute since I have been on this side of how things work.
It's been a year.
I'm going to hurt you the more you make. It's been a year. That's your one. No, that is your one on air that you're allowed to do.
You missed my dad joke.
Listen, I only missed it because I had to do this job basically by myself for 7 straight shows.
We've got plenty to get to with everyone back in the saddle, and my goodness, I missed a lot. Holy smokes, there's been a lot go down since the last time I've had a chance to have some fun with everybody out there. The K-State men's basketball team is one of the greatest teams to ever play. KU is KU. Remember when everybody's like, oh, they won the national title, they're not going to be very good. They should be ranked number 1. Sorry, Houston. I would put KU number 1.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
The Chiefs are the number 1 seed. You've got coaches fired. K-State had a great start to the Sugar Bowl, bad end to the Sugar Bowl. I mean, there's been a lot go down, and oh yeah, the NFL had maybe one of the most unique situations to ever happen in the NFL. Apparently, I need to be gone more often if this type of thing occurs.
We definitely were not spared news while you were gone. But yeah, Jake, did you think about when you'd be back when you were gallivanting across your the world there? Did you think you'd come back to know that Marquise Noel is one of the greatest players in college basketball?
I mean, we all saw that coming, right?
Obviously. No, we all saw that Marquise Noel would be one of the greatest assisters in college basketball and would have scored almost 100 points in 3 games.
He's basically Steph Curry right now.
He has scored 91 points in 3 games. I did that math yesterday. 91 points in 3 games.
We got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk plenty of Chiefs. We're going to talk with Matt Derrick coming up at the bottom of the hour. The title game, big kudos to Georgia. You helped your boy
big
out.
Snooze fest.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. We'll get to some hoops talk because both KU and K-State in action tonight. KU and K-State both at home. We'll get to a little odds makers, a little crosstalk. We'll even squeeze in a little bit of Royals today. Hit us up, though, on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy. You can check us out on YouTube. Go to our website, 580-580-WIBW.com. Very simple, very easy. You can watch the show, throw us a comment, let us know on Twitter as well, at SportsOn580, as we've got so much to get to on this Tuesday edition. The Kansas City Chiefs are the number 1 seed. Chiefs fans should be absolutely thrilled. Absolutely thrilled. And it is okay, Chiefs fans, to say, yeah, we got the best end of this deal.
It's okay to admit you kind of got a little lucky there.
You didn't get kind of lucky. You caught a massive break. Now, the Bengals were leading the Bills at that point in time. Who knows? Maybe the Bengals end up winning and it wouldn't have mattered. But I do know this. The Bills are a good football team. Could they have come back and beat the Bengals? Yes.
100%.
Just say thank you. The NFL did the best that they could do with the situation that was given. You're not going to please everybody, so you just do what you can. It is an unforeseen situation. No precedent has ever gone in that era, even during the COVID time. So you make best what you can, and I think the NFL did. So the Chiefs get the number 1 seed. I don't think home field advantage means a whole lot in the title game. I really don't. The Chiefs have played 4 straight AFC title games. They've won 2 of them. They've lost 2 of them. 50-50.
And all played at Arrowhead Stadium.
So I'm not all bent out of shape if, they have to play the Bills, in Indianapolis or in,
Well, it won't be in Indianapolis. They have a volleyball tournament that day.
Whether it's at Ford Field or I don't care.
Detroit is replacing their turf.
Vegas.
That is, I believe, the front runner, and the Raiders are pushing very hard that if there's a neutral site AFC title game, we played in Las Vegas.
I'd be on board with that.
AKA Arrowhead West.
Yes. So you just be happy that you're there. The big thing is you don't have to play a game. You don't.
That is the number one thing with this one seed. Because there was, and this goes into the part of things you might have missed while you were gone. There was discussion which we found out was kind of really poor sourcing from Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk.
Shocker.
Yeah, big shock there. That he was reporting at the time that there might have been a case to where the team that got the number one seed would decide between a bye week or home field advantage, and the two would get the other. One, that was never going to happen. But two, 10 out of 10 times you take the bye week.
Yes.
Home field advantage is nice. This week off is everything.
Let me ask you this real quick. Can the Jaguars beat the Chargers?
Yes.
That's why you want the bye week. You don't have to risk it. Let me ask you this. Can the Bucks beat the Cowboys?
Yes.
Oh, you bet they can. You just don't have to put it out there. The fact that you're guaranteed a win is fantastic, and Chiefs fans just sit back and enjoy this weekend and hope that the Jaguars win. I don't want to see the Chargers at all. I don't want to see the Chargers, even if Mike Williams is maybe a little bit dinged up, and who knows, what happens in the game against the against the Jags. I want the Jags, I want the Ravens, or I want the Dolphins to win. I do not want to see the Chargers in the divisional round. Do not want to see them.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times, and more importantly, it's hard to beat a team 3 times that you have faced in 2 games decided by 3 points. And a team that
knows you so well.
And historically, of the divisional opponents for the Chiefs, the Chargers play them the best.
Yeah.
They are built specifically in a way that can do it. Plus, we're going to see more as this week goes on. Rashawn Slater can potentially be back for the playoffs. Like, we all thought everything was done when he had his biceps injury. I had not heard enough to where I think he'd be back for the Jaguars game specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Rashawn Slater could be back, which helps the Chargers immensely.
Yeah.
Rumblings of Joey Bosa trying to, maybe be like the Chargers' long-term injuries that helped early in the year, all are coming back around where guys are going to try and make a push. No, when it comes to the playoffs, Chiefs fans, you better root hard for Jacksonville this weekend.
Or
you want the Jacks.
Or the Ravens or the
Dolphins. Or the Ravens or the Dolphins, because
matter.
The Ravens, if they have Lamar, that changes the beast of the situation, which is also the only way I think they beat Cincinnati is if Lamar comes back.
Well, and J.K. Dobbins.
That's true. That's true as
J.K.
well.
Dobbins.
But, Lamar doesn't have a knee in his body, so apparently that's a problem. And then if the Dolphins somehow stun the Bills, 1, you then would not deal with Buffalo. That's always the nice part. 2, you're facing either Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson. And listen, we love Skylar on these parts. We do.
Let him do a win.
That man.
Hey, he got him in the
playoffs. His defense got them in the playoffs.
Hey, he gets the playoff win, right?
This is why quarterback wins are a bad stat.
Hey, if the quarterbacks get the blame, they get the victory. He led them to the playoff.
Yeah, no, in a playoff situation, but this is what I talked about yesterday. The bye week is so important because think about all the not necessarily serious, but nagging injuries the Chiefs had to key players. McCall Hardman and Sky Moore. Sky Thompson was on my brain there. McCall Herman and Sky Moore didn't play in the last game because of injuries. They get an extra week to heal up. Joe Tooney's nagging ankle injury, extra week to heal up. L'Jarius Sneed's nagging hip injury, extra week to heal up. Frank Clark hurt his groin against the Raiders. He gets an extra week to heal his groin because Frank Clark has been kind of important.
And honestly, it's not just 1 week. It's almost 2 because
it's about 2 weeks.
You go from when you played to the next time that you actually strap it up and hit somebody
is 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
it's huge. It's important.
It is huge for the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll get more along the defense because the defense is playing better coming up later on this week because there's some really good stuff on the season as a whole for this Chiefs defense coming on as of late, and specifically a few different individuals. But this bye week, the Kansas City Chiefs will play probably, on in the divisional round, Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to guess they're going to play on Sunday because if it's Chiefs-Chargers, I have a feeling that that's going to be a Sunday night affair because I think that's going to, because they've always played close games. And that's what I think is going to end up happening. You never know when it comes to the playoffs, but that is the feeling that I get, that it'll be Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, Chargers, the 4 best teams in the AFC. The Chiefs don't need to do anything except for what they did Sunday. And you posed the question to me, Fulton. What do they need to fix going into the playoffs? Like, what do they need to do a little bit better? What do they need to if you could have their fortunes change a little bit.
Yeah, what's that one thing you think is the number one problem that if it is fixed, it changes every projection about this team needing to win 3 games to win another Super Bowl?
And they don't have to do anything different. What you saw Sunday, it's the difference. You don't turn it over. That's it. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Do not try to get into EPA / BAP with VORP and all that kind of stuff. You don't need to do that. You don't. If the Kansas City Chiefs don't turn the football over, they will win the game. If the Kansas City Chiefs don't turn the football over and their defense forces a turnover, they will win the game comfortably. Don't overanalyze anything. The Chiefs' offense is the best offense in the NFL, and it's not even close. Sorry, Bengals. Sorry, Bills. Sorry, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. If the Chiefs do not turn it over on offense, and that includes Patrick Mahomes, that includes the running backs, that includes, Travis Kelce and Juju fumbling the football. If whoever's back there, Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, Sky Moore, Fulton Castor, I don't care who's back there catching a damn punt, just don't muff it. And the Chiefs will win. If the defense forces a turnover, if you are plus in the turnover margin for the Kansas City Chiefs, they will win the Super Bowl. If they are +1 in every single game, and that means the Chiefs turn it over, but they force 2 turnovers. They get a fumble or they get a muff punt or something of that nature. You will win, and they will win the Super Bowl. They just have to not mess up, because eventually over 4 quarters on offense and on defense, because defense right now, this defense is playing statistically when it comes to not ranking a 1 through 32, just the output is an average NFL defense. And if you are an average NFL defense with the best offense in the NFL, it all comes down to, do you give them extra possessions by turning it over? Is Mahomes going to turn it over in the red zone because he's thrown some interceptions in the red zone? Do you fumble the football trying to gain extra yards? Does Dave Tobe find a way to get his guys to either just don't catch it at all and run away, or catch the football on a punt and you don't muff it? I would love to know if Vegas has the capability, with all the algorithms that they got, that if the Chiefs do not turn it over and are plus in the turnover margin, where the defense gets a fumble, the pass rush is getting after the quarterback, or Thornhill or Snead or somebody gets an interception, they are plus in the turnover margin. What are the odds? And I bet they are as high as any team has had.
I'll ask you this, Jake. How many games do you think of the 17 this year that the Chiefs were positive in the turnover margin?
3. I think there were 3.
Higher.
4?
Higher.
Man, they must have got some turnovers in late. Because remember, they had 11 straight games with a turnover.
They did. So the Chiefs had 6 games where they were positive in the margin. It's held by Seattle and Vegas, where they generated turnovers and did not have a turnover themselves. They were +1 against Seattle with 1 turnover generated, +2 against the Raiders.
Yep.
But overall, they had 6 games this year where they were positive. Do you want to know what the record in those 6 games were?
6-0.
Correct.
Yeah.
Do you want to know how many of those games were 1-score games?
None of them.
1. When they beat the Chargers 30-27 in the game in LA, they were positive in the turnover margin. They won by 3 points. Every other game, they beat the Chargers 27-24. That 1 turnover was the pick 6 that won them that game. That was that 1 turnover. When they throttled Tampa Bay, positive in the turnover margin in that much. When they throttled San Francisco, the last game of the 49ers have lost this year, they're positive +1, 3-2 in the turnover margin. When they beat the Chargers by 3 points, positive.
And throw in the safety against the
safety
49ers.
is also
that's basically a
is
turnover.
very important. No, that's very true. But then you beat Seattle by 14 points, positive in the margin. You whooped the Raiders by 18, positive. They had one close game when they were positive. 2 close games, really, because the first Chargers game. But the first Chargers game.
That's another reason why I don't want to play the Chargers.
Yeah, the 2 Chargers games were close, but both those games that are positive, and they were very impactful. When the Chiefs, and I'm right there lockstep with you. Turnovers are important because they've shown, one, that they're just 6-0 in that margin. But take out the Chargers, because I just always want to throw those out because those games just never make sense. That always creates weirdness.
Correct.
Against 4 other opponents, when they were positive in the margin, they blew them out. Like, when the Chiefs don't sacrifice possessions, because historically, this is one of the greatest offenses in NFL history.
Yes.
Historically, by the numbers, this is one of the greatest offenses since the greatest show on turf. That's what the Chiefs are right now. So when they don't sacrifice, because that in the nutshell is what turnovers are. You are giving up a possession. You're actively saying, I am not going to take this possession for myself. It is now yours.
And you potentially set up somebody else with great field position to score easily.
So if you can control that part of it and just say you are not stealing any possessions, because that's what I would say. When a lower level team can beat a good one, it's stealing possessions, which are turnovers. If the Chiefs don't do that, we've talked about it. No matter how well your defense is playing against Kansas City, it is hard to keep them from doing things. Like, it's just hard because they're so multifaceted and have so many different ways to beat you. So no, I'm with you. If they just don't turn the ball over, think about it. They lost to Cincinnati because they turned the ball over. They lost to Buffalo because they turned the ball over. The 2 opponents that everyone's the most worried about on the route to the Super Bowl, you don't turn the ball over, you win those 2 games.
The pass rush, just keep generating. We're going to talk more pass rush tomorrow because low-key, George Karlaftis, the Chiefs,
it's gotten better, bud.
Did the Chiefs find a guy? We'll get to that plenty more coming up as well. We're going to talk with Matt Derrick coming up at the bottom of the hour. But let's take a look in the future. If a certain situation happens this year, is that going to set a precedent? And we could be seeing something different from the NFL. We'll get to that coming up next. Alrighty, Fulton. We could have a neutral site title game. Bills, they hang on and win, and then whoever they beat, maybe it's the Bengals, it'll be a neutral site. If the Bengals beat the Chiefs, well, then it's going to be at Arrowhead. Or if the Bengals win and beat the Bills, it'll be at Arrowhead, right?
Correct.
Do you think that this precedent could set up the future for title games to be at neutral sites?
100%.
I think so too.
Terrified.
I think so too. I think the NFL will treat this like a mini Super Bowl, and so they'll just say, "Hey, look, all it takes is one time.
Yep.
All it takes is one time, and they're going to be like, wow, look how
look how much money we made. Look how successful this was.
We made that. We made how that thing worked.
Yep.
The very first time that they took the draft and they put it on the road,
like,
and they go, wow.
Ooh.
And now look at it, the traveling circus. Same thing in this situation. Let's say the Bills end up beating the Bengals. I, for one, right now will tell you, I think the Bengals are going to beat the Bills. I think the Bengals right now are playing better than any team in the NFL.
The Bengals are the hottest team in football. And I say that with the 49ers because the Bengals have a real quarterback, unlike the 49ers do.
So I think it's going to be at Arrowhead, but let's say the Bills and Josh Allen, they beat the Bengals, because that could happen.
Oh, yeah, they're a talented football team.
I think this sets a precedent to whereas, yes, let's do it at a neutral site. We can make a little bit, have some fun with it. And I think that they will do that. Simply because of this. Will it generate more money? The answer is yes. How many owners think they would rather have the money than home field advantage? Because a part of me does say, no, the NFL teams will want to host it at their site.
Yep.
Because, hey, we get that. We get that money. We get that. It's a reward. But also, if enough owners are like, yeah, let's do it, I think it might.
I would not be stunned if we have to have Bills and Chiefs at a neutral site. I would not be stunned if this creates a domino where the NFL owners try to put in one of the next CBAs that the conference championship games will now be played at a neutral site.
You and I are on the same page. If
the NFL thinks it makes them more money, they'll do it.
The only way it doesn't is if there are enough teams that say, no, we're good enough. We want the home game at our site. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Matt. Derrick will ask him that question, plus the off week. We'll get to all that coming up here on Mic'd Up. Heading to Kansas City to talk all things Chiefs with our Herman's Meat Smokehouse Chiefs insider. He is Matt Derrick from ChiefsDigest.com. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Matt, are you ready for a bye week?
I am very ready for a bye week. I hope you are refreshed and ready for a bye week.
I am always down for a bye week. That means I can watch NFL football this weekend and not really worry. And I can hope for a Jaguars, a Ravens, or a Dolphins win so that the Chiefs can play one of those three teams.
Yeah, I think as a Chiefs fan, I think you'd be happy with any one of those wins. You take one of them, two of them would be great, three of them would be incredible.
I just will take one because I really don't want to see the Chargers. I don't want to see the Chargers in the divisional round. I know the Chiefs have, won 3 in a row against the Chargers. That team just knows the Chiefs too well. They're explosive. I don't want to see the Chargers.
Yeah, they're a scary team. There's no doubt about that. I think it almost I don't know. There's part of me that is, I know the Chiefs are a better team than the Jaguars. They've proven that, and the Jaguars are not quite there yet. But as good as much as the Chargers know the Chiefs, I'm not sure anybody knows Andy Reid better than Doug Peterson. So that would be the scary one for me, is that sometimes when the gods wish to punish us, they answer your prayers. So be careful with the Jaguars.
I get where you're coming from. That's why we love you, Matt, because you always bring us a different side of it. I never thought about the Doug Peterson style, and he's gonna let loose everything when it comes to that, if that does occur.
Oh, yeah.
But let's get to, first of all, the situation. Are you on board with what the NFL ended up doing? Neutral site game, if it's Chiefs and Bills in the title game, do you think they handled it as best as they could?
mean, there's no doubt it's not a great scenario, and I'm not sure that anybody was completely happy with the way things unfolded. But honestly, I think the Chiefs fared better than anybody else did, and even though the worst cases didn't come to fruition, the Bengals having to have a coin flip with the Ravens or anything, I mean, this is still the one spot that it could still develop. I mean, if the Chiefs and the Bills are going to meet in a neutral site game, it's going to be unusual. It's going to be weird, but I still think the Chiefs came out better for it. I mean, they got the bye. That is huge. And to me, the underrated part about what we're talking about with the bye and the number one seed is just the importance of knowing that Cincinnati and Buffalo are going to have to go through each other. If you're going to win, the Chiefs are going to win the AFC, they only have to go through one of those teams. Both those teams are going to have to go through two really good teams, most likely. So that to me is just a huge advantage. And, and obviously being in a neutral site is still better than going to Buffalo. So I think the Chiefs came out pretty well with this deal. It's not exactly, like I said, ideal for everybody, but I think the Chiefs came out of it as best as anybody did.
Would you rather have the bye or home field advantage?
Ooh, I think the bye. I mean, even though it's not necessarily proven that the bye is a huge advantage, I mean, and we're certainly going to get some more data being able to test that with only one bye going forward. But I still think it's a huge advantage. I mean, and still, you look historically, 50% of the time, number one seeds, make it all the way. So there's a big advantage to being the number one, and I think there's a big advantage to that bye, especially late in the season when teams are banged up, and you look at some of the guys that the Chiefs are going to have healthy now, and that extra week of rest. I think it's a big deal.
All right, let's get to the game against the Raiders. What stood out to you most with the Chiefs really kind of cruising past the Raiders and not really that exciting of a fashion?
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs needed a clean, efficient win in Week 18, and that's exactly what they got. There weren't a lot of mistakes. I mean, I might quibble with a couple of missed tackles, but that was about it. They played very well. I mean, the offense didn't light it on fire, but they didn't have to. They did exactly what they needed to. No turnovers, no real big penalties of any sort. I mean, no special teams gaffes. It was no rookie mistakes. I mean, it was as clean a game as you're going to get. And on top of that, the defense once again stacked another good performance, including the front four. Yeah, I mean, I think the Chiefs knew exactly what the Raiders were going to do with Jarrett Stidham. They had that one game of film with the 49ers, and honestly, the Raiders came out and tried to do the exact same. They wanted to run the football, and they wanted to use play action, and they couldn't get either one of those things going. The Chiefs shut it down. Wasn't the full-strength Raiders, and the Raiders are what they are, 6-11 team, but they beat them the way that they needed to.
How much can you take from the defensive effort shutting down the Raiders? And how much of it is Stidham was on film? Because the week previous, the Raiders took the hottest team in the NFC, the 49ers, who a lot of people think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. The 49ers had to beat the Raiders in overtime. That 49er defense, with one of them Bosas, beat the Raiders 37-34. They gave up 34 points. That offense, or excuse me, that defense that the 49ers have gave up 34 points to the Raiders. The Chiefs completely shut down Jarrett Stidham and that Raider attack. Is that simply the defense improving? Is it because they saw film on Stidham and the 49ers really had no idea what was going to happen? Because you look at back-to-back games for the Raiders offense, they were outstanding against the 49ers, and then they sucked against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are supposed to have the crappy defense, and the 49ers are supposed to have this outrageous defense.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that having the advantage of seeing in that 49ers game on tape with Jarrett Stidham, I think that was a pretty big factor. I think if those games had been reversed, you probably would have had a different outcome. I mean, I think that, the Raiders probably would have done some things to surprise the Chiefs. They certainly would have scored more than 13 points. And if the 49ers had gotten to see that and knew what they were going to do, I think the 49ers would have probably played just about as well as the Chiefs did. I mean, I think that was a significant factor. But to me, at least, the one thing that about that Raiders performance is that it's a part of pretty consistent behavior on tape is as Eric Benny would say, that this team is doing defensively right now. I mean, you take the 28 points they gave up at the Denver was the most that they've given up since the bye week. You can put at least probably 7 or 10 points on the offense that you really could blame them for giving Denver short fields. The Texans game was an aberration. I'd be concerned about that. But other than that, I mean, this defense, it wasn't necessarily shutting out anybody, but you give up 10 to 17 points in that range every single week, you're going to win a bunch of football games. And that's exactly what the Chiefs did in the second half of the season. You look at a lot of the advanced metrics. I mean, this team in DVOA has been one of the best teams in the league in the second half. It's not a complete defense. I don't think anybody can make that case. But when you have the offense that the Chiefs have, you don't need the number 2 defense in the league. You just need probably a top 10 or a top 12 defense. And right now, I mean, this Raiders game is consistent, at least to me, with what we've seen as a trend. I think this defense is in that category. I mean, it may not be, like I said, that's not top 5 or anything, but is it top 10 or top 12? I think you could make a case for him right now.
All righty. If I were to tell you this, and this to me is a surprise, but if I were to tell you that the Chiefs would be number 2 in the NFL in sacks at the beginning of the year, what would you have said?
I would have been very surprised. That I was not expecting.
I can't believe that they ended up finishing second in sacks. I'm absolutely stunned that they finished second in the NFL in sacks.
And to me, you know what? This is probably a great example of, just the typical NFL reversion to the mean.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs pass rush wasn't as bad last year as it looked as far as sack numbers go, because they got a lot of pressures, and we were consistently talking about the fact that those pressures weren't turning into sacks. Well, this year they probably got a few sacks that more than they deserved, because their pressure rate was consistent, maybe a little bit better than last year. So maybe they just got lucky that they got a few more sacks this year in some situations where they didn't get them last year. Balance this out, this team's probably in the middle of the pack when it comes to getting after the quarterback, and that's probably fair.
It shows you that, and we're going to get to more of this. Like, if you're second in the NFL in sacks, your defense should be better than what it is right now. Or are we too critical of this Chiefs defense? Because you mentioned right now, over the last 4 games for the Kansas City Chiefs, the game against the Texans, they dominated that game. I know the Texans, had to go to overtime, but if you look at how the Chiefs played in that game defensively, they completely shut down the Mills Mafia. Seahawks wasn't even a game. The Broncos at the end of the game scored late. Same thing. They shut down the Raiders. So like the last 4 games, is this the defense that you are reminded of in 2019? Because I remember ever since the game in Mexico City against the Chargers, the Chiefs defense was on another level. It feels like that's been the case for the Chiefs for the last 4 games, that this defense is playing at a level that they haven't played yet all year.
Yeah, to me, it's definitely been a high level. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. They finally have started to figure some things out. I think they've figured out some rotations. They've, essentially with the suspensions and the injuries, they've got everybody at their disposal right now that they didn't have earlier this year. And I think that's all paying off. I mean, I think about the 2019 comparisons a lot, and I don't think they're quite there. I mean, that 2019, by the end of the year, I mean, certainly looking at the second half of that season, I mean, that might have been one of the top 3 defenses in the league, especially the way that they were playing at the end. This defense, I don't know if I can make that case. I don't know if they're top. I don't think they're there, like I said. And I don't think they need to be. I mean, as efficient as the offense is playing, you just can't be the 24th best defense in the league. This team is not. I mean, that's not what it is. It's better than that. It's just a question of how good. Like I said, I'd put them in probably top 10, top 12 right now. But if this trend continues, what we need to see, though, and I think is probably the fair knock against this team, is that they have feasted with sacks against some, questionable quarterback play. question is, can they get sacks when they need them? Because if you're going to have a 5 or 6 sack game, they need it against Josh Allen and they need it against Joe Burrow. I mean, that's the guy they have to get down.
We're talking with Matt Derrick. He is our Herman's Meat Smokehouse Chiefs insider. You can follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Derrick here on Mic'd Up. And going to the offensive side, who needs this break the most? Is it Tooney? Is it Moore? Is it Tony? Is it Hardman? Who do you think benefits the most from this basically 2 weeks off before they actually have to hit somebody on another team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the silent one that you really could use is Joe Tooney. I mean, he got that ankle banged up again, and I was kind of surprised that the Chiefs even rolled him out there. I mean, I know how tough Joe Tooney is and how badly he wants to play, so I know he was absolutely working those coaches to play in Week 18. I'd have taken a chance, probably giving him an extra week, but there's no doubt. I mean, giving him more time and helping that ankle is going to be a big deal. But the fact, I mean, we're still talking about it. Getting McCole Hardman and Kadarius Toney on the field at the same time hasn't happened yet. And it certainly looks like we're going to see that in the divisional round. And I'm really intrigued by that. I'm just, the idea of having both those guys out there and what you can do with them. I mean, it's not going to be every down, but I got to think that there's going to be 2 or 3 plays that Andy Reid's got those guys on the field at the same time, and something significant is going to happen, just because I think that's just too much speed, too much potential. I think they're going to have something special cooked up. So really intrigued to see that, because I think getting those 2 guys healthy, that makes that the deepest receiver room in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that to me.
So do you think Hardman will be a go then in the game, whoever they play?
I mean, barring another setback, I mean, it certainly seems like all systems are go. I mean, I think he could have played last week. I mean, if it was a must-win situation that really, really needed, I think he could have. But once again, I mean, it's a spot where they felt like, hey, with Tony back, they didn't really need to push it. So give him an extra week, and then you get an extra 2 weeks on top of that. Yeah, I would be very surprised if Hardman doesn't play in the divisional round.
Were you surprised at how glowing Louis Riddick was about Kadarius Toney?
Hey, if Brett Veach tells you, that this guy's might be the best receiver on the team, I mean, you got to take it. But and Louis Riddick loves Brett Veach and the Chiefs, so he's always going to speak glowingly about them. But at the same time, we've seen it. I mean, it hasn't been a lot of snaps yet, a lot of work, but you've seen when Kadarius Toney is healthy and gets the ball in his hand, the guy's electric. I mean, there's a lot to like there. I'm still curious about why it just didn't work out in New York. If it was just the injuries, it was the personality, both. I don't know, but there's no doubt. I mean, if Kadarius Toney buys into what the Chiefs want to do, and he buys into the way Andy Reid coaches and plays and runs this organization, the sky's the limit. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, talent is absolutely there. The players, coaches speak glowingly about what this guy has been like since they got there and what he's like in practice. So, no, I mean, at this point, the reviews for Toney probably deserve to be sky high. It's just now the production needs to match the reviews.
So we asked this question at the beginning of the show today. If you could pinpoint one area of the team that all of a sudden improves in the postseason, what area is that takes the Chiefs to that next floor above, or gets as close to the ceiling as they can?
The one area that would probably, if we look back on it, the Chiefs have just made a great Super Bowl run and win a championship. To me, I think we're probably talking about the run game. I think, whether it is Isaiah Pacheco or Derrick McKinnon or a combination of both of them, I think we're talking about a Chiefs run game that probably gets like 140 yards a game. They're averaging, 5 yards a clip. They're catching passes out of the backfield. They're getting maybe a couple of touchdowns from one or both of those guys a game. I mean, I see it a lot like, Damian Williams in that 2019 run, as good as he was. Those were his best games of the season were in the postseason that year. Had some incredible football that year. So to me, that's it. I mean, you're gonna win football games in the postseason throwing the football, but you salt them away with being able to run and hit it on the ground. And at some point, the Chiefs are going to have to lean on that. And this is the time. And I think Pacheco can handle it. There's no doubt. I mean, the way that Derrick McKinnon's playing right now, it's his best football of the year too. So that's why I say between the two of those guys, I think we might be sitting back and saying, man, the Chiefs backfield really took over in postseason.
All right, last two for the road for you, Matt. The Chiefs spinning huddle, is that crossing the line of sportsmanship or not?
No way. I didn't have any problems with it at all. I mean, it wasn't really like a blowout at that point or anything. I mean, you still needed to win the game, and anything you can do, misdirection, no, that's fine. Anything you do during the game to create confusion is perfectly acceptable. It's not like the Chiefs were driving their bus around Allegiant Stadium or stomping on logos. They're trying to create.
Who would do that? Who would do that?
Exactly.
Who would do that? Andy Reid, he's an elephant man. He never forgets. All righty, and lastly, where is the AFC title game being played at? What location?
Ooh, you know what? I am going to go with the most likely. Well, not maybe not the most likely scenario, because I guess the Bills would be the favorite to get there, but maybe the plurality scenario. I'll say it's going to be an Arrowhead.
I'm with you. I think the Bengals beat the Bills. I'm with you. I think they do.
I think so too.
Matt, we appreciate the time. As always, enjoy this off week, my friend. You, just like the team, have earned it.
Well, I know you guys don't get an off week. There's never an off week in your business, but you deserve an off week too.
Matt, thank you so much, man.
Take care, everybody.
I mean, we are going to get an off day on Monday.
Yeah, we've gotten a few off days. You got a lot of off days.
Yeah. From the Big O Tires text line, Jake, you sound tired. It's because I am.
Yeah.
A 16-hour flight plus a 3-hour layover, and then a 2-hour flight plus a 2-hour drive equals tired. Yes. So if I sound tired, Fulton, and if you are watching on YouTube, I look tired. Yes. Jet lag, real thing. Anybody who says that the Chiefs were showboating or unprofessional or lack class or give me some of the other
they're
terms.
Just losers. No, they're just losers.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah, they're losers. The people saying that are losers.
Yeah. You ready for this? Yeah. This is the pros.
Yeah.
This is the pros. If you don't like it,
stop them.
Also, what's more embarrassing, and I am upset at the Chiefs. Why did you kneel it at the end of the game?
Run it up.
Score the damn touchdown.
Listen, no one got upset.
Hang half 100 on them.
No one got upset when the Chiefs did their choreographed spin move inspired by the Rose Bowl, but apparently dancing in the snow globes too much.
Anybody who says that, I bet you're a blast at parties. But no, this is the NFL. This is the NFL. It's a lot like Crash Davis in Bull Durham, right? If you're the Bears and you do that, you look like a fool. Because guess what? You suck. If you're the number one offense, guess what?
You're eclectic.
You're unique. It's all about how you look at it. Plus,
God, what a good movie.
I wouldn't mind the Chiefs becoming the villain. I wouldn't mind that.
Spoiler alert, man. They're already there.
Not like the way the Patriots were.
No, they're not to that level. They, at least amongst their division, are the villains. I don't know if they're league-wide yet. They amongst the division for sure, and I think they're rapidly creeping up the AFC as the villains.
If you thought that
and I'm cool
was
with it.
Showboating, then what are all these guys who intercept a pass and run down all the way to the
new thing we've created, which is everyone run all the way to the other side of the field
and do all that kind of get out of here.
Taunting belongs in sports.
As long as it doesn't escalate to a fight. Yes,
yeah,
I'm with you.
As I've always believed, taunting belongs in sports.
100%. We got Everyone Loves the List. We're going to talk with Dan Lucero, and we'll get to that beatdown that occurred last night. Hour number 2 of Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton coming to you on a Tuesday. Thank you so much for stopping by and joining us. For January the 10th, it is it's pretty nice out. It's pretty nice out.
Not too bad.
Very nice. So that is a positive. That really, really is. We will get to Dan Lucero. We'll stop by with a little crosstalk from 580 Sports Talk. We will get into maybe a little KU and K-State hoops. They play tonight. It is so much better to have two really good basketball teams.
Oh, yeah.
In the Sunflower State.
A week from today, KU heads to Bramlage for the first Sunflower Showdown of the year. And there is a high percentage chance it is a top 10 game. K-State's 11th. They beat Oklahoma State tonight.
Yeah.
They beat TCU at the end of the week.
Yeah.
Even if they lose a close game to TCU.
I think they'll beat TCU.
I think they will too, because why not? But there is a better than not likelihood that KU K-State next week. Hell, there's a chance KU K-State next week features the number 1 team in the country in a top 10 matchup. Depending on what Houston does and if the voters come to their senses.
This is this is something that I didn't see happening.
No.
Didn't see that. We'll get into more KU and K-State hoops chatter coming up in the 2:00 hour. Little odds makers as well. As always, hit us up on our Big O Tires text line, 785-272-9429. Very simple, very easy, 785-272-9429. Check us out on YouTube. Very simple. Go to our website, 580wibw.com. That's 580wibw.com. And you can check us out on YouTube. Let us know in the comment section as well today your thoughts. No other big news in the NFL today. All the firings happened yesterday, and there weren't that many. To be honest with you.
There was only 2 head coach firings since the conclusion of the season. Lovie Smith being let go on Sunday by the Houston Texans, and Cliff Kingsbury being fired yesterday by the Arizona Cardinals. We only have 5 openings as of now for head coaches.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued if that number will ever grow.
Yes or no? Eric Bieniemy becomes a head coach.
I don't know at this point.
I am going with no, because he's already done 12 interviews with 12 teams before. He's interviewed twice with the Jets.
Yeah.
So I think he's done 13 interviews, or it's 12 interviews because 11 teams and 12 total interviews. I don't think he's getting a head coaching job. Because I don't. He should have had it by now.
I would say so. And then
that's why I don't think so.
Like, Denver's the one that said the most, publicly leaked interviews. They've been interviewing a lot of defensive guys. The Colts have, put out their feelers a little bit. I've also said apparently Jeff Saturday is a candidate, which is just so stupid. Carolina has put their feelers out, but they might keep Steve Wilkes with how well he finished the year.
Mm-hmm.
Houston, I want EB to get a job. I really think EB deserves a job. I pray he doesn't go to Houston. I don't even care if they're going to have a top flight quarterback and either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. I don't care. I don't wish any head coach any coach I like having to go to that dysfunctional, crappy organization.
Now, I will say this, that Jack Easterby is not there anymore is a turn in the right direction.
That is fair. But Jack Easterby not being there is important, but overall, they fired 2 one-and-done head coaches.
The head of the snake is still there.
Yes, and that's why, Houston gets interesting there. So it's like, I don't know. There's a chance EB gets hired by somebody. Honestly, the problem is Arizona might take a shot on him. If they want to go offensive, you have Kyler Murray, a young mobile quarterback. You see what EB's done with Patrick Mahomes. You have pieces you think you like. It might not take as much to mess with the system. I don't know. But Arizona, your problem there, or at least seeing what's going to happen, is they've openly said they want to get a GM in place first to replace Steve Keim. So I lean towards no, just because at this point, I just don't know what else he has left to do.
I don't think he'll get one. If he was going to get one, he would have already had one by now.
This cycle feels less likely than last cycle.
Yeah, the guys who are the hot commodities now, are the DeMeco Ryans, the DC of the 49ers. I don't think he's going to get a head job. I hope he does.
I love him
really, really do. But
and then Chiefs fans get ready for offensive coordinator Matt Nagy again.
That doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me.
I don't care about that.
I just wanted to say it. Matt Nagy as an OC, perfectly fine. Matt Nagy's a position coach, perfectly fine.
He's not the OC though.
Well, not right now.
No, Andy Reid's the OC. That's the reason why I don't give a.
That's the other reason I'm okay with it. Yeah, yes, but no, it's
that.
Matt Nagy is the head coach when we have problems.
Yeah,
if that creation ever comes back to fruition, that's when someone needs to work.
Yeah. Last night, big shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs for beating the TCU Horned Frogs so bad.
Beating them to a pulp.
That half of the country did not watch the second half.
I didn't
either.
I got bored.
I went to bed. I feel bad for TCU. And the reason why is they're going to be remembered as the most lopsided victory in championship game history, maybe in any sport. Like the one game that I am kind of remembered that put this into perspective. It was the 49ers versus Broncos Super Bowl. And I believe the 49ers won 55-10.
See,
yeah,
I
55. Yeah.
See, I remember the Seahawks Broncos Super Bowl, Peyton's first trip back with Denver. That was like 43-6.
Yeah. 55-10. I remember that.
I think of those games.
1990.
For college football, this was the most points scored in a championship game.
Yeah.
Georgia 65.
This game is going to go down as the 55-10 version of,
it's now an answer to a trivia question.
Yeah.
And listen, you rarely want to be the team on the bad end of the answer to the trivia question.
I feel bad for them because
it was a great year.
They had not a great year.
It was phenomenal.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, go down in history type
They were
of year.
projected to finish 7th in the Big 12. That is what they were voted. They went 13-1 before the next show, so 13-2 overall. But 13-2 in the first year with Sonny Dykes, and you go to a national championship game. You were the first Big 12 team to get a win in the CFP ever. Oklahoma didn't do that. Texas ain't ever been there.
And Lincoln Riley couldn't do it.
Lincoln Riley couldn't do it.
No,
Sonny Dykes could.
And I feel bad for TC. I really do. because
this is how they'll be remembered.
They will.
And I agree. This is the crappy part of this. It also, and I saw this because this is some of the takes on Twitter of, not as much from the TCU fan base, but some just general reaction from a lot of people. It changes the way certain people view the TCU season, partly because we've become so addicted to just the championship as all that matters, that no matter what you do, if you didn't win the title, nothing matters. Well, for some teams, sure. For Georgia, sure. If Georgia had fell short, sure, you could say, well, it wasn't as good as it could be because they are the type of team that maybe should do that. For a team like Alabama, sure. For TCU, just being a part of the dance is all that matters.
No, that's incredible.
So, they went there. I hope no one in the TCU community and a part of that team, and I hope majority of people don't lose sight of the fact that, yes, TCU is now a part of the most lopsided game in college football championship history. That sucks.
Don't even say college football. Just say most lopsided in championship game
It really
history.
is. And that sucks. And that's awful. And that's not fun. It does not spoil the fact that they had a season that no one thought they could. It was a magical run. Max Duggan is a warrior, a fantastic quarterback, fantastic player. Quentin Johnston's going to be a first-round pick. Kendry Miller and Amari DiMarcado are great running backs. Sonny Dykes is a hell of a head coach.
This is the best way that I can describe the game yesterday. There are two big things that jump out to me. Number one is Ohio State taking Georgia to the very end was the worst thing that could have happened to the winner of Michigan versus TCU, because Georgia in the game against Ohio State played with their food. They did not come in ready to go, and the Buckeyes hit them with their best game throwing the football. CJ Stroud turned into Michael Vick, which was incredible, and that was the wake-up call for Georgia. I hoped that the game would be close, but you kind of had the feeling that this was going to be a beatdown. And Georgia got the eye-opener that they needed against Ohio State. TCU beat a Michigan team. Michigan's really good, very good. TCU had to play perfect against Michigan. TCU had to get a pick six. Their offense had to just be insane. They had to catch some breaks. And they were able to pull off the upset over Michigan. Georgia is Michigan, but with more depth and faster. And when you have the perfect, we're talking, I think if Michigan and TCU play 10 times, I think TCU beats them twice. That's how I look at this. Plus, Michigan did not have Blake Corum, who is not even a question their best player.
100%.
And so I look at TCU, everything lined up, and they played incredible and got some big-time breaks against Michigan, and they squeaked it out. A squeaker. Then you play Georgia, who has got better dudes who are bigger, faster, more depth, and you did not play even near your best, you get 65-7.
So Paul Meyerberg and I talked about this last week. When it comes to the Michigan TCU game, part of that was, and I agree with Paul wholeheartedly, never seen a team like Michigan did that just was completely not taking a game seriously. Michigan watching that game against TCU and thought they could just waltz in, do nothing, and waltz the guy with the victory.
Same thing with Georgia.
They were very entitled. Michigan was very entitled to thinking they could just walk in and get a win. And TCU took advantage of that and made some great plays. And like I said, they squeaked by. 2 pick sixes were a big difference in that game. TCU, if they had wanted a chance to win this game, had to play an AA plus game. They had to. They didn't play close to it. And I'm full with you. Georgia being tested by Ohio State was the worst thing could happen to TCU. Because if there's one thing you can't just give Kirby Smart, it's a reason to tell his team to wake the hell up and play better. And Kirby Smart with that game after it was done was like, look what happened when you guys didn't take this seriously. Look what happened when you guys weren't playing Georgia football.
Have you seen the audio of his pregame speech? We cannot play that on the radio because it would basically be a whole bunch of
we wouldn't be allowed to play much of that.
Well, we could. It would just be
you wouldn't get much out of it.
3 words and then bleep and then another word and then bleep. But man, you want to talk about that guy got me fired up.
Yeah.
And I'm a 38-year-old has-been. And that guy got me pumped.
Listen, if there's one thing you don't give some of them coaches, it's a reason to do that and really believe it. And that's what Kirby used for the Ohio State game, was just, hey, telling his boys, look, if you guys want to play with that again, TCU will beat you. You lose your chance to be back-to-back national champions in a perfect year. You want that? Yeah. None of them do. So it's like, all right, then wake up and go play your tails off. And that was Ohio State woke up the dragon. And they became a fire-breathing monster against TCU. And I'm sorry, Frogs. You were just the victims of a very, very good team that got woken up to play an A game.
It does show that you can get there, though.
Yeah. The path exists.
The path exists. Or is this path a lot like the NFL path without, a star quarterback? You can get there. We saw it like the 49ers with Jimmy G. You can get there, but in
a smaller extent, like the Jaguars with like Bortles, in a smaller extent to a smaller level,
to the title game,
the title game. Yeah,
you can get there, but I think you're not at the table that everybody else is.
I think this does show that as we expand these playoffs, one, we're going to get more blowouts. Like, I want people to be prepared. We got spoiled by 2 great semifinal matchups. We're going to get even more blowouts when we get to this expanded playoff system. But I think it does show if you catch lightning in a bottle and you're just good enough, you can probably get near the end. But I think this just reinforces if you don't have just dudes up and down the roster or the guy leading your team, it's hard to win championships. Because Georgia, like Stetson Bennett, is a great college quarterback.
Yes.
He's not going to be an NFL quarterback.
He's so small.
It's that, and I think there's a lot of things playing against him here. But what Georgia showed is they might not have, that full dude, though Stetson was playing like that dude there. Georgia also just is so deep and just has guys everywhere. Alabama showed you a bit in the K-State game, kind of showing you a difference. K-State had the ability to kind of get there. But for other shortcomings Alabama may have, they had that guy at the most important spot.
Georgia on that field had 20 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
TCU had 1.
It's that level of talent disparity is so hard to overcome.
2023, little peek ahead. All right. Fox and RJ Young writes for Fox College Football. He's got K-State preseason ranked 13th. Preseason 13th.
Not a bad spot.
Way too early top 25. KU coming in at 25th.
I've always said RJ Young is the best college football writer and no one else is close. I've often said that.
For ESPN, and what they've got for the early top 25, this is Mark Schlabach. He's got K-State coming in at 18th is what he's got. And in his little tidbit here, he says expected losses. We already know Deuce Vaughn is heading to the NFL draft. They lose Martinez. Honestly, not a huge deal. Cade Warner, kind of a bigger deal than what you think.
He played real well at the end there.
Eli Huggins, great player.
That's a huge loss.
Julius Prince, great player. And they're going to get some guys, from the transfer portal.
Yeah, you're going to be able to try to replace some of the talent, but you don't know yet.
But I think Mark Schlabach is 1,000% right. Felix Enudike-Uzomah and Echo Boydo are mulling over whether they enter the NFL draft. If Enudike-Uzomah and Boydo come back,
oh boy,
that is huge.
Ratchet that baby up.
That is big because I think offensively they'll still be all right. Now, can you find the production without Deuce Vaughn? I don't think you can. So I think you're going to have more production out of your, Ben Sinnott, wide receivers, Giddens. But I can see K-State being 18. ESPN does not have KU in their early top 25.
Losers.
Coming up next, everyone loves the list We're going to go with wild animals coming up next. Everyone loves the list on a Tuesday. We are going to go with wild animals. I was able to see some wild animals on my little mini sabbatical. And wild animals are terrifying.
Also cool.
When there's really nothing between you and them.
Fair enough.
It is surreal, to be honest with you. So, wild animals, all right?
All right.
That you see in the wild.
Yeah.
All right, not in a zoo.
Yeah.
All right, what do you got?
Number 4, I don't even care if it's out in the wild and there's nothing around us. Tigers are awesome. And
Yeah,
I'd be cool with seeing a tiger because I'm like, you could maul me before it happens. I would be like, that's cool.
Number 4 for me, a hippo. I got to see a hippo.
The world's most dangerous animal.
I got to see a hippo about 5 feet from myself.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did you know that they sweat sunscreen?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing to me. They sweat sunscreen, basically.
Hippos are cool.
Yeah.
Hippos are a fantastic animal.
Yes. Yeah.
Number 3 for me, snakes in general, but specifically constrictors. I don't want to deal with anything that could bite me and kill me. We talk about something that's just going to squeeze the life out of me. We can have a more better conversation. I only want to see like venomous snakes in very, very specifically controlled scenarios.
Snakes are terrible. I hate snakes.
Snakes are awesome.
Number 3, a rhino.
Cool.
It's crazy to me how a rhino is a herbivore and yet how big they are.
Oh yeah, they're huge in their big horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, terrifying.
Understandable.
And also, poachers are terrible. I can get into a lot of that. But no, the rhino, what a monstrous animal in person.
Rhinos are cool. Walking tanks. Number 2 for me, penguins.
I did see some penguins this
Penguins
weekend.
are awesome.
I did see
penguins
some penguins.
Are easily one of my favorite animals of all time.
How about warm weather penguins? I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
South America has some penguins.
So does South Africa.
Yeah.
They're little cute little guys.
They're the smaller of the penguins, but yeah.
Number 2 for me, a lion.
Lions are cool.
Lions are amazing. Just how
they're majestic.
Yeah, they're sweet.
They're very majestic. Yep. Number 1 for me was maybe one of the easiest number 1s for a list ever. Koalas. Koalas are my favorite animal of all time.
Koala.
Unironically, koalas are my favorite animal of all time.
What?
I love koalas.
Number
They're
1
great.
For me. It changed. It's the elephant. I did not realize in the wild just how monstrous they are. Elephants are amazing, and now they are the true king of the jungle. It's incredible. Elephants, number 1. Coming up next, Dan Lucero will pop on by for a little crosstalk. A little hoops. KU and K-State in action tonight. K-State takes on Oklahoma State. 5 o'clock pregame coverage, 6 o'clock tip-off from a sold-out Bramlage Coliseum, taking on the Cowboys. KU in action at 8 o'clock at Allen Fieldhouse, taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. So it is the Sunflower State versus the Sooner State. I like the Sunflower State's chances of coming away 2-0 in this one. So we'll get to more hoops, got a little odds makers as well. But right now, we bring in 580 Sports Talk's Dan Lucero joining us. Dan, everyone loves the list. What is your favorite and what animal would you like to see out in the wild?
Out in the wild?
Yeah, just like you.
So not like at the zoo or anything like that. No. Man, like, so it would probably be a zoo animal that would just be kind of cool to like see they do its thing in the wild. Hippos are cool as hell.
That was my number 4. They're mad. Did you know that they sweat sunscreen?
No.
They basically have like when they sweat, they secrete something that protects them from the sun. I did not know that. I learned that today. So this has been Hippo Talk here on Mic'd Up.
I was joking with Brett Ballard when I talked to him last week, the Washburn men's basketball coach. And he asked, so is Jake ever coming back? And like, kiddingly. And I said, no, I think actually he's going to host Mutual of Omaha. We're going to bring back the Mutual of Omaha Wildlife Hour. And Jake's going to host that. And you've got all the facts. I mean, you're locked and loaded with the animal trivia.
Yes. I learned a lot in the 2 days that I was at the Aquila Game Reserve.
Now, hippos
are sweet.
Yeah, hippos are cool. Penguins.
Penguins are awesome. Penguins are my number 2, Dan. Penguins are awesome.
Yeah, like sea lions.
I saw all of those.
Nice.
Yeah, the penguin.
Do you have a penguin fact for me?
Yeah, really sad. They're almost extinct in South Africa.
Aw. That is sad.
They had like
this has been sad animal facts with Jake.
Yeah. I wish you hadn't told me that penguin fact.
Darn it, Jake.
Yeah.
We only do fun facts around here.
Only fun facts. Fun fact. Do you want to know why they call it the white rhino and the black rhino?
Yes, please tell me.
The reason they call it the white rhino is because of a language situation. The white rhino has a very wide mouth.
Okay.
And they thought they were saying white when they were saying wide.
Huh.
And so because the black rhino has a very narrow mouth. And so there was the lost in translation that's why they're called the white rhinos instead of wide rhino.
Full, has this been the whole show today?
It is not. It's
Why
just
not?
Quickly turned into this. Because we're technically a sports talk show, should we kind of pigeonhole that in here?
Nah,
but I'll be honest, I'm cool with turning the last hour and a half into just animal hour.
I just want to let Jake do 3 hours of like Mutual of Omaha wildlife facts.
I learned a tremendous amount from my 2 days and my 5 total hours of tours along a 29,000 acre game reserve.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It sounds very fun.
I can tell you this, being chased by a herd of elephants is terrifying, but yet really cool at the same time.
Feel like Indiana Jones.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. But then come to find out that they were just playing with us because their ears were not faced forward. They were faced backwards. So they were technically having a good old time.
Elephants just think of humans as small puppies. We're like, oh, this little baby thing I can play with.
Yeah, they're
oh,
big.
You adorable little thing.
Yeah, they're big. But yeah, so hippos,
just don't make them mad.
All right, I can buy that. I can buy that.
Jake, I don't think appreciated that my number one answer was koalas.
From the Big O Tires text line. This is why we love our textures. From the 785. Koalas sit around all day and eat eucalyptus leaves. We all know that growing
that's
up,
their diet.
obviously. The main ingredient in eucalyptus is THC. Therefore, koalas are just really furry little stoners. That is coming from the Big O Tires text.
The other best fact about koalas in regards to their eucalyptus leaf diet is that eucalyptus leaves are poisonous to most other things, including humans. Those leaves are poisonous to us. Koalas, that is their diet. They eat literal poison.
Same? Like,
I mean, fair.
Big Mac
rip open a bag of flaming hot Cheetos and gummy bears. You think like that's Takis?
Okay, fair, Dan. Fair.
The koalas. We watch you. They're like, wow, they're just like me for real. All I do is sit and eat.
That's why they're awesome. They sleep like 13 hours a day. They eat a gigantic amount of eucalyptus leaves, then they just die. It's why they're awesome.
The difference is if you eat eucalyptus, it probably hurts you in the short term. Where
if you eat eucalyptus leaves, you will die.
We're like the long term.
Yes, our poison is the long term killer.
Yeah,
it ends up being heart disease instead of just keeling over and dying.
Listen, man, koalas rock.
I got no.
That was a good answer.
I'm all right with koalas. I'm all right with koalas. Alrighty, Dan.
We done with animals? Because I got a whole 2 hours of sports talk I can do later. We can keep talking animals, but if you want to talk some sports, I'm all in.
I'm trying. I could throw a whole bunch.
Dan, what's your opinion on snakes? I learned Jake's not a snake guy.
Snakes. I can't.
What's your opinion on snakes?
Where are their arms and legs? It's not okay. If I may paraphrase Gene from Bob's Burgers, they really freak me out. Where are their arms and legs?
No, I'm not a snake guy. Never have been. Never will be.
Snakes are cool.
Very anti-snake.
Yeah, I'm out on snakes.
I can handle a spider. I remember.
No, spiders, get out of here. Get him out of here.
So, Brendan, from the Topeka Zoo, he came in a long time ago. He brought in a gigantic tarantula.
Yeah, I would have told him to keep that away from me.
And he's like, it's very nice. And I don't mind spiders. And he brought it out and laid it right on my hand, and it took up my entire hand.
Yeah,
and it was just chilling.
Get that out of here.
I can handle spiders.
Yeah, you can't handle a snake.
No, gosh, no.
Nah, I can't do either of them. No thanks.
No, get spiders out of here. Snakes, no.
There was a spider building a web in my backyard this past fall. I swear to you, it was the size of a Volkswagen. It was just the biggest spider you've ever seen.
It almost became the spider's house.
Yes. If the web had connected to the house, it was on the deck. If he had connected it to the house, I would have given up squatters' rights. 100%.
You look to your wife and be like, unfortunately,
it's his house.
It's his home.
It's his house.
I hope you don't want anything grilled for a long time.
Here's the thing. I love koalas. I would love to go to Australia to see koalas. I won't go to Australia because they have the biggest and nastiest spiders on the planet.
Fact.
I'm not stepping foot in that country. My favorite animal's there. I will not step foot in that country.
What country?
Australia.
A buddy of mine lived in Australia for a while.
And I'm so sorry.
And I said to him, is it true
that everything wants to kill you?
That you just walk in your backyard and there's a 15-foot python. And he goes, do you want the truth, or do you want me to tell you that there's not a 15-foot python in your backyard every now and then? And I said, I want the truth. He goes, yeah, that happens. I'm like,
no, they got those. They got big ass huntsman spiders that are bigger than my
down
head.
There, though. They name them. They're like, oh, that's just Steve.
That's a good accent.
That was really good. Dan get on an Australian accent. We learned something today.
That's just Steve.
That's just Steve. He's a good bloke.
He's
27 feet long, man.
So
no, I couldn't do that.
Funny enough, because we're on it. I'm just funny enough here. I was in Florida one time for KU softball, and we were stopping to get some food somewhere on the road. We were traveling to one of the facilities we were at, and we were near a body of water, not a large lake, a small lake or pond. I'm not kidding you. There was a gator just chilling, and we're walking around, and I'm like, there's a gator right there. All locals are like, yeah. I'm like, there is a could kill you thing right there. And
the difference between crocodiles and alligators?
Well, there's a bunch.
Well, one you see later and one you see in a while.
See, I knew the joke was coming, and that's why I didn't want to engage with it.
Dan, you know I'm all about them. I like that one. I'm here for all those jokes. That's fantastic. All righty. I do have to get your take. Do you think if the Bills and Chiefs play at a neutral site, let's say in Vegas, how much does that increase the chances of this becoming a thing?
I kind of floated this, that it feels like a bit of a trial balloon. This goes back to like Lamar Hunt kind of envisioned the Final Four weekend of the NFL before. So I think there is a little bit, I don't know how broad the league office interest is, but I'm sure there are some owners who are looking at this and thinking like, hey, another league-wide event we could make some money on, even if our team's never playing this game. Maybe this is something. I think it will be a trial balloon. We'll see how fast fans travel with 1 week notice, particularly if you put it, like if they put it in Vegas, that's not an easy trip for either fan base, right?
But it's easy to get to.
It is easy to get to, but it's
so
not
many flights into Vegas.
But it's not a drive, right?
No.
Where like if you're a Chiefs fan, like you drive to Indy. Or if you're a Bills fan, I mean, you got to go around, but you drive probably to like Detroit if that's where they put it.
Well, we found out that Indy can't do it.
Yeah, Indy don't want to do it. They don't want to.
They had the volleyball tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if I remember correctly, Detroit cannot do it because they are replacing their turf at this time. They were scheduling to do it later. I don't know if that would have changed had the Lions made
there's
playoffs.
No reason. I mean, both these teams are outdoor teams. You have to play in a dome. I mean, go play in Nashville.
Yeah, Titans don't do anything.
Yeah,
losers.
All right.
I wonder if they can, they'll
put it in Vegas or SoFi. Those two places they would try to play.
I think you could make some money off of this. And
no, you definitely could. It's a money maker. The question is for the league, because like I love championship Sunday in the NFL the way it is. I almost like it more than I like the Super Bowl because one, 2 games. 2, you have home crowds. You have a real football atmosphere for both games. And 3, either there is a coronation and a trophy ceremony in front of a baying 75,000 home crowd, or there is the dead silence of 75,000 people filing out of a stadium after the road team comes in, shuts them up, and wins. Kansas City fans have experienced both ends of that coin the last couple of years. But I love championship weekend the way it is. That's a special, special weekend. I think the NFL, if you move it, you mess it up. Because all you do is you turn the crowds into Super Bowl crowds, which are corporate crowds. And you don't want, I mean, they'll spend more, you'll make more money, but you make plenty of money.
And that's why I wonder if enough owners would say, no, I want to have it at my home venue.
I think you'd have like the old guard kind of feel like, hey, this is the way it's always been. There's no need to. I think the old guard ownership groups.
But what if you're just like a good team and you want to have a chance to host it? Like if you're the Chiefs and you're Lamar Hunt, like I understand you're going to make more money if you bid it out and you have, that you turn into the draft, you make it a big spectacle again. But if I'm Lamar Hunt, I'm going, no, why would I want to do that when my team has a great chance to host maybe 4 or 5 more of these things?
It's the biggest game that you can have at your home field, right? It's the biggest deal. It's the biggest stage. It's the biggest show. You can't have a bigger game for your home team unless it is the Super Bowl and you happen to luck into your team making.
But it's not the same type of atmosphere because it's not your season ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to give a larger allotment to the visiting team and all that stuff. So yeah, no, I hope it stays the way that it has always stayed, but I am sure that there's an antenna or 2 raised across the league if this does get to that alternate site.
And fun fact, I don't think it is.
You don't?
I don't. I think the Bengals are going to beat the Bills.
I'm kind of leaning in that direction too.
I think the Bengals right now are playing the best. Fun fact, I would rather this be the Bills than the Bengals because I think the Bills without Von Miller are definitely beatable.
And I'll say this as well, just on that token. The Bills the last month or so have been really susceptible through the air. I shared this off the air with Brendan when we were talking, I think. I don't believe I shared this on the air, but I felt like the fairest way
to determine whether or not where the AFC Championship game should be in this scenario. Whatever the Bills' win probability was against the Bengals when that game was postponed and ultimately canceled, those should be the odds of the game being in Buffalo. And then the other odds would be the game being in Kansas City, because that's eventually what it would have come down to, because both teams won in Week 18. Mm-hmm. So if the Bills had won, well, okay, fine. Take your win probability for the Bills in that spot.
It was 7-3.
It was 7-3. Cincinnati was driving, and Cincinnati was at home. So Buffalo's win probability was probably in the neighborhood of like 40, 45% at that point. And then you flip the coin, theoretically, not like a real coin, because you can't weight a real coin, but you do the simulation, you do it like the NBA lottery or whatever, where Chiefs would have 55% chance, Bills have 45% chance, and whatever came up is where you play the game, or who ends up getting the 1 seed, or however you wanted to do it. I think that would have been the fairest way to do it, but this is not a terrible outcome either, if you didn't want to leave it to the machines, right?
It's the best way out of a bad situation. And what's funny is, doing some research, have you guys read on ESPN Don Van Natta Jr.'s piece? Folks, just to let you know, the reason why that game did not get played was because of the players and because of two individuals, Zach Taylor and Sean McDermott. The NFL were going to have them play. There's a reason why Joe Burrow was warming up, y'all, and he was loosening his arm. And then the two coaches
because that's all
together.
Anybody knows to do is, well, we just keep playing, right? Like we've seen guys leave in ambulances before. We just keep playing. That's the assumption. I'm sure in the back of everybody's mind, even if they were in no mental condition to want to play, I'm sure in the back of their minds is, well,
we just play. That's what we do.
Yeah, they're just going to send us out.
And the NFL can lie all day.
Good for the players, the union reps, the union, and the coaches.
To stand up. Yeah.
To show some
leadership. Because the NFL can backtrack all they
thing.
want and try to pretend like, oh, we were never going to make them play. No, that game would have been played if the players and then those two men leading those teams didn't say, no, we're not doing this.
There's a difference between a neck injury and then what because the players were around Hamlin.
Yeah.
And you can hear, like they can see and hear. There's a difference between a guy being strapped, on the backboard, face mask off, and then, he'll try to give a little thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
Then you see people pumping on someone's chest for 10 minutes and you hear them yelling and screaming at Damar Hamlin. That's a different feeling, is what a lot of the players ended up saying. Dan, before we let you go, all right, it'll be a little odds makers for you. We got that coming up. What are the odds that Marquise Noel goes for 25 and 10 tonight?
I will put, because 10's a lot of assists in a college game when you're also scoring 25 points. And Oklahoma State's really good on defense.
Yes, they are.
So they can, Noel can have a good game and not get to those numbers, because Oklahoma State's really exceptional defensively. I put those odds like 10, 15%. Okay. But the fact that they exist at all just tells you what kind of ball Marquise Noel's been playing of late.
Well, it should be a lot of fun. Enjoy.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you got a shortened show, and you're going to head to Bramlage. So follow Dan on Twitter and on our social media Twitter as well. Sports on 580. Safe travels to Bramlage, and I'll be excited to talk to you tomorrow to know what that crowd is like, because this crowd, this is the crowd that will bring back to me the energy that Pullen and Beasley and Magruder had, even more so than the Barry Brown, Dean Wade crowd.
For sure.
I think this crowd is it's a different vibe.
It's going to be. I think it's going to be kind of crunk up in that thing tonight.
That'll be exciting to see. So follow Dan on social media today, and we'll have recaps all that on our YouTube page as well. Dan, enjoy the shortened show because you guys are off a little bit early, and have fun at the game.
Will do. Welcome back.
Dan Lucero from 580 Sports Talk. Coming up, we'll talk KU and K-State. Sunflower versus the Sooner State. We'll get to all that, plus odds makers here on Mic'd Up. And the final hour of Mic'd Up on this Tuesday afternoon. Jake LeBon, Fulton Caster with you. We got K-State hoops coming up this evening. When I say this evening, I mean in 4 hours. K-State taking on Oklahoma State. 6 o'clock tip-off, 5 o'clock pregame coverage right here on your home for K-State Athletics. 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. K-State is ranked 11th in the country. K-State's 14-1. K-State is one of the best scoring teams in the Big 12. All of those
sound weird.
Are just pinch yourself almost. And this is the reason why coaching matters. And also why culture matters. Why everybody buying in and rowing in the same cadence. Because right now, all of that is happening for Kansas State basketball. Kansas State had arguably the 2 worst seasons back-to-back in the history of their basketball franchise.
It was bad. It was real bad.
And in 1 year, they are now 14-1 and have been ranked 11th because of the hire that you made. We have seen now, and it's only 15 games, and K-State could take a big we and I understand that. We still got a lot of basketball left, especially in the Big 12. But the whole, give them time argument that, you got to give somebody time. The next coach that KU hires in football, you got to give them at least 4 years, right? It's proven that doesn't need to be the case in both football and in basketball. Look at what KU football has done. In a year and a half, remember, Lance Leipold didn't get spring ball. In a year and a half, they're 6-7 after going defeated in 2020. They didn't. They should have went 0-10. They didn't. They went 0-9.
Only 99 losses in the 2010s.
And in a year and a half, not only did they turn it around at KU for football,
they did something they hadn't done in 14 years.
They became somebody that you don't just walk over like it. That you had to earn it.
They're not a doormat anymore.
No,
they'll give you hell.
Same thing with Kansas State.
Yeah,
Kansas State in less than a year went from, and I want to double check because I think they won. I want to say they won 3 games in the Big 12 last year. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up just to make sure. In Big 12 play last year, they went 6-12. Beg your pardon. They lost their last 6 games. They went 6-12 and were 14-17 last year. And right now they're 14-1 and have wins over Baylor and Texas on the road, in which they have scored over 200 points. That tells me it doesn't matter where you're at. K-State had 2 guys, 2 from last year that really meant anything. 2 players. Everybody else gone. 2 players from last year. Marquise Noel and Ish Masood. That's it. They had 2 guys. This is a group of guys that they went out and said, hey, yeah, this guy will work. Hey, we'll get this guy to transfer in. Hey, we're going to get this guy to transfer in. Do you remember the great recruiting class of, Nigel Pack and Selton Miguel and all of these guys? Remember? The Montavious Murphys and all that. They were supposed to be great. And now you look at, they bring in Naquin Tomlin. They bring in guys that Desi Sills. Nobody ever heard of Desi Sills or David Guisan? Nobody ever heard of these guys. Everybody thought Marquise Noel was a shoot from the hip type of guy. Agiola, none of these guys. And they're 14-1 and putting up 90 a pop over the last 3 games. And it's because of the head coach. Jimmy's and Joe's over X's and O's. That is forever, forever, forever. Look last night, TCU, Georgia. Basketball, same thing. Jimmy's and Joe's. But if you get your Jimmys to play together, man, it is a completely different atmosphere right now in Manhattan. And kudos to Jerome Tang. And nobody should be surprised that he got them to buy in, because if you listen to what he said leading up to it, the times that we've talked to him in the offseason, the times that he spoke afterwards, you're not surprised that he got everybody on one page and rowing in the same direction. I am not surprised at that. I am surprised that he has this team playing this well, because outside of Keontae Johnson, this is a group of guys that did not star at their place. I mean, there's a reason they transferred. There's a reason that, Tomlin, a JUCO guy, and Gisan and Carter and all of these guys. There's a reason Masood transferred. I mean, Marquise Noel was at Arkansas Little Rock.
Yep.
Like, there's a reason that they transferred, because either they didn't like where they were at or they weren't good enough to be, the key cog at their school. But Jerome Tang found a way to unlock Marquise Noel and turn him into a 38% three-point shooter, a distributor, a guy who can take it to the rack. And Keontae Johnson right now is still, to me, the most underrated guy in college basketball. And it's not even close. The story is Marquise Noel right now because he's playing like Steph Curry. And kudos to Marquise Noel. None of us thought that he had this in him.
No.
He tweeted out, "I had it in me." The coach helped, bring it out. But Keontae Johnson is the reason why this team is 14-1. This team beat Baylor. This team beat Texas. He is the main reason why. He is a bona fide dude. He is 6'7", can shoot the three, can drive, can do it. There's a reason he was preseason first team all SEC, and you are seeing it right now. Keontae Johnson is the straw that stirs this drink. Without him and his 19 points, 7 boards per game, Marquise Noel is not able to do what he is doing. That is, to me, the number one aspect. People saying, well, Marquise Noel is playing like the player of the year in the Big 12. Right now, he probably would get it. But the most important player is Keontae Johnson, and I don't think it is close.
Here, I've said a bunch of this in length over the past couple weeks because K-State's been such a great story. As I've always said, the first key to rebuilding a team, especially in college sports in particular, is culture. It's establishing a proper culture because that drives everything. And that's what Jerome Tang did first and foremost, is he was like, we're going to change the way we do things. We're going to do it a very certain way. And if you're going to be here, we're doing it this way. And the guys that bought in, your two most important players are Marquise Noel and Keontae Johnson. And I'm with you on the idea that Keontae is probably the more important player, because what Marquise is doing as of now is great. And I want to get to him in a minute. But look at everything before Big 12 play started. Every big game K-State had. Almost every single one of them you point to, Keontae Johnson's the reason we won this basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
Marquise did some great things in between. Keontae has been the same consistent 17, 18 point a night, 7 to 8 board a night guy that just gets the job done. You need that. You need that stability to what he's done. And I think Marquise Noel is the indicator of just how great of a coach Jerome Tang can be. I was hard on Marquise Noel a lot last year. I think deservedly so, because my thing with Marquise always was, I think he's very talented. I thought he played reckless.
He's a roller coaster.
Bruce, and I try to say bad things about Bruce Weber. He did some good things for the program. He's not a terrible guy. He had no control over Marquise Noel. He had no control over him as a player. What I've said plenty of times this year, Jerome Tang has found a way to get Marquise Noel to play under controlled chaos. To empower him to, you know what? I get it. Sometimes you're going to take your weird step back threes that I'm screaming no about till it splashes down. And then you're like, okay, I guess that worked. That's what he's going to do. But he's also taught Marquise Noel the value of playing within the structure of the system. And I think the biggest evidence to me that Marquise has fully turned a corner was the end of the Baylor game before he went to overtime. Marquise Noel took it, going to go for the last shot. He's dribbling near midcourt. I said it on Twitter. I was waiting for Marquise to pull from the logo, because he did it at Iowa State last year and missed it. And granted, he had pulled from the logo earlier in the game and made it. So he can do it. But that's what he did against Iowa State. No reason to do it. Go downhill, but he didn't. What does he do against Baylor? dribbles a little bit, then crashes downhill, puts a floater off the glass that almost went in, but gave his team a chance for a rebound. That right there told me everything I needed to know about what Jerome Tang done truly transformed Marquise Noel as a player. Because old Marquise would have been like, I want to make the hero shot from deep because everyone will love me. New Marquise is like, I can do that, but I could also, because I have the angle, go downhill for a better shot. And more importantly, I know I got that guy, Keontae Johnson, who can clean me up. And he almost did.
Or Naquan Tomlin.
Or all these guys.
And when Washburn played Kansas State in exhibition play, I said, I don't know where they're going to score. And they put up 97 against Baylor, 116 against Texas, and 82 against West Virginia. That is what they have scored in Big 12 play.
That was my number one question for K-State this year was when the defense can't produce the turnovers, when you're asked to play just half-court offense, can you score?
And
that was my number one thing of why I thought they might not be as good as they could be, was I was like, I think they will struggle in the half-court.
And this is what makes tonight's matchup very interesting.
Because Oklahoma State's going to make this not fast and not fun.
Oklahoma State is going to turn this into a slog. K-State is a 5.5-point favorite. Not a surprise. They're at home. Oklahoma State, 1-2 in Big 12 play, beat West Virginia, lost to Texas their last two games. They scored 46 points. Oklahoma State is the worst offensive team in the Big 12. They can't score. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are the worst teams in the Big 12 in scoring. They can't shoot it. They can't shoot it at all. And when I say they can't shoot it, they are horrible from three. Awful. But they hold teams to 61 points. 61 points. That means games are in the 50s almost. In the game against Texas, they scored 46. Texas scored 56. That's the same team that scored
103
against Kansas State. Oklahoma State is going to turn this into a slog, a slow down type of game. I hope you're ready to look at the shot clock a lot and go, oh man, what are they going to do?
You know, we want to talk about, and you mentioned this will be a slog. There's two metrics to me that really point to that. KenPom is a fantastic tool for this. First things first, Oklahoma State, KenPom's tempo rating. Oklahoma State's 212th in the country. They play slow.
Yeah.
But this is what's more important. Do you know where Oklahoma State is in defense per KenPom in the conference?
Oh, they're probably number one.
They are not.
They're number two.
They're two.
Behind Oklahoma.
Behind Kansas.
Behind KU? I don't know about that.
I'm double checking my numbers here.
Oklahoma's a good defensive team, too. That's what's wild, is that both KU and K-State are awesome offensively right now. And Oklahoma State and Oklahoma are tremendous defensively.
Oklahoma State, 11th in defense per KenPom. 10th is KU. 12th is Iowa State.
Huh.
Yeah, your friends at Oklahoma are 46th in KenPom in defense.
They play much better defense than that.
Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, just for people aware, because the Sooners are important here. By that, I just mean, we're going to play them eventually. For K-State particularly.
Who, you going to suit up?
K-State particularly. You know what I mean. If they want me to suit up, it'll be real bad. Oklahoma, 345th in KenPom.
Yeah.
The Sooner State teams don't play fast.
No.
And that is the key for the Oklahoma State, because Oklahoma State is 97th in offense. They're not a great scoring team, but they beat. Ask KU. KU scratched and clawed to get to 69 points. It's because Oklahoma State, they might not be able to score. They make scoring on them incredibly difficult.
And that's why I look at the game tonight at Bramlage as this is about K-State's defense. If K-State's defense, and they haven't played much of it. I mean, if you're
they haven't. They are near the bottom of the Big 12 in defense.
They're not, and that is surprising because of how athletic they are and how long.
That's what I thought their calling card was. I thought, because right now K-State is 27th in offense in the country per KenPom. They're 48th defensively. I thought that'd be flipped. Because I thought Jerome Tang's calling card would be defense, but as of now, that's kind of been their bugaboo in Big 12 play.
If K-State, K-State's going to score in the 60s. Can they keep Oklahoma State in the low 60s? I think K-State will win this game. I do wonder if they're going to come out too hyped. It's sold out the next three games. against Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Texas Tech, all sold out at Bramlage. And kudos to you, K-State fans, because all we heard the last 2 years is fire Bruce Weber, fire Bruce Weber.
It was always, well, why don't you guys show up? Well, we'll show up when the team's good.
Yeah.
That was always what everyone said. We'll show up when the team's worth seeing. I will give K-State fans credit. They didn't lie. The team is worth seeing, and they are responding in kind.
Yeah.
Honestly, in a similar tone, it's the same respect to give KU fans.
Mm-hmm.
KU football fans always said, well, we'll show up when the team's good. And I was like, yeah, right. You guys still won't support them.
They did.
K-State, KU had multiple sellouts.
And
they are. Give them credit.
And so I think K-State wins this one. I think they'll cover the 5.5. Because I think offensively they are in a groove, but it's going to be amped. They're a top 11 team because how many people go from unranked to 11th?
I can actually tell you that, Jake. Do you know when was the last team to ever go from unranked 1 week to 11th or higher the next?
It was Indiana.
Incorrect. And since the poll's been to 25 teams, no one's gone from unranked to 11th in 1 week.
So I wonder if they're going to come out too amped, too hyped.
There's a chance.
You know what I mean?
There is always that possibility of playing too tight.
You want it to so bad.
Yeah. You play tight.
You don't just, let it hang.
Gotta be loose.
KU, they take on Oklahoma. Here's why. You ready for this? This game's going to be close. KU is a 10.5 point favorite. This game is going to be close. This is the reason why. OU shoots the 3 awesome. And they don't allow the 3. They don't. They shoot the 3 best in the Big 12 as a team. They shoot it from all 5 spots. You don't shoot the 3 well against Oklahoma. KU in the post hasn't been exactly dynamite.
Hey, man, don't just shit my guy KJ Adams like that.
All right. But Jalen Wilson shooting the 3, Grady Dick shooting the 3, Kevin McCullough shooting the 3. I don't know if that's going to come today. If you look at how this Oklahoma team plays, they do not give up the 3 ball. What's the best way to stay in a game? Make the 3 and hold the opposing team. Oklahoma's holding teams to 26% from deep. That's incredible. Impressive. So if Oklahoma is hitting the 3, and don't be surprised if Oklahoma does, and they don't shoot a ton of them, because as you mentioned,
they play so slow.
They
will grind this baby to a halt.
They play snail slow.
It's going to make watching this game suck.
That's why I think this game is going to be closer. Does KU try to speed up Oklahoma? Because KU, they got athletic dudes everywhere. They want to get out and go. It's harder to speed up a team than to slow down a team.
Correct.
I think Oklahoma, if they are able to keep it at their pace, I think they're going to, same thing for Oklahoma State. Oklahoma, look at the shot clock a lot, right? If I'm Toby Rowland and I'm Brian Haney, you're going to say the words 5 on the shot clock, damn near every possession when Oklahoma has the basketball.
Man, I forgot the Groves are still there.
Oh, yeah. Tanner and his younger brother.
They haunt my nightmares.
You beat him twice last year, right?
Yes, and they didn't. They haunt my nightmares.
So I think this one will be a much closer game. If I were to do the old parlay, I would take K-State to cover 5.5 and OU to cover the 10.5. But OU covering the 10.5 simply is if they're hitting the 3. If they're hitting the 3, they will cover the 10.5.
They do have 4 different players shooting above 40% for 3.
And they play defense. They play defense. They are one of the better defensive teams in the Big 12. So that's why I think the Sunflower State takes care of business against the.
I think the Sunflower State goes 2-0.
Oh yeah. There's nothing more I want in this world than KU and K-State a week from today in Bramlage, both being 16-1.
Well, you're gonna need K-State to beat Oklahoma State and TCU.
They have the easier
road. You're going to
need
the Jayhawks to beat Oklahoma and Iowa State.
And they should.
Now, here's the difference. K-State has to go to TCU on Saturday. They got to go down to Fort Worth. KU gets both their games now in Fieldhouse.
Yep.
The place that causes teams to stop using their brains. I have never seen a building just with an ability to remove brains from skulls. They just do. At some point, the other team just stops using logic correctly. It's my favorite thing.
I want that to happen so bad.
So do
a
I.
week from today,
Brainwood will be a madhouse.
Oh God!
It'll be a zoo.
And you ready for this? If the Big League Chew chant starts,
it will.
Jerome Tang gonna shut that down.
Oh yeah,
I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Jerome, and that is the power of a coach that wins and that people gravitate to. If that starts next week, and it's, we love you.
Big League Chew, I think, is the funnier way to talk about what that chant is, because also we can't say what that chant is.
Yeah, no, we definitely can't. But
no way.
When they say Big League Chew and Jerome Tang hears it, he will stop what he's doing. I
need him to pull a Buzz Williams and grab the microphone.
No, he will walk out into the middle of the court, and I bet he will point to everybody, and he'll just say, "Stop it," and then the entire student section will stop. He's got that. He is the BMOC right now.
Yeah.
I kind of want that to happen because that would just show you just how important it is to get the coach.
I just want to see how loud K-State fans can get that thing going.
What?
Listen, the Big League Chew chant doesn't bother me. I find it funny. I legitimately find it hilarious.
It's not in great taste.
I don't. I get everyone's point to it. Personally, I don't care, but I get plenty of people are like, don't, I get it. I get where people are coming from when they say don't do it. I get it.
Not a good look. You can do better than that. It's the mob mentality. That's all that is.
God,
it's
so
the
funny.
mob mentality.
Yeah, I know. I once joined in on that chant on a boat.
What, Big League Chew?
Yeah. I was with I'm the only KU fan, a bunch of K-State fans. We were all enjoying some adult beverages on a boat. We were all partying a little bit, and it broke out, and I joined in because it was really fun. I'll admit that.
But KU in action tonight at 8. K-State's pregame at 5 o'clock against Oklahoma State. 6 o'clock with the tip-off should be if K-State puts up 80-some on Oklahoma State. Hey, right now, K-State's number 1 in my power rankings in the Big 12.
You were gone when I had to send this text message to Brendan and Dan. They asked me on a CrossTalk episode, what would I rank the power rankings of the Big 12?
Cats are 1.
And I had K-State fairly low at that time. It was before they played Baylor. And then when I saw how they against Baylor, I texted those two. Was just like, I need to alter my decision here. I was wrong.
They are number 1 because their schedule is much tougher than anybody else's. They beat Texas and Baylor on the road. They have the best resume. They are numero uno. KU is number 2, and then I don't really care who's number 3. It's not Baylor. I do know that. Baylor can't play any defense. Coming up next, we got a little odds makers, and then we'll get to a little Chiefs football on their bye week. Makers here on Mic'd Up. I'm going to alter the number that I gave Dan during CrossTalk. But first, we have to go the overall.
Okay.
What are the odds that KU wins the Big 12 regular season title? I was at 50-50 when the Big 12 season started. I said it would be 50 KU, 50 everybody else.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to revise my math a little bit here. I think I'm going to go 45% for KU. That math gets a lot more complicated behind it because it used to be, 45 KU, a nice next chunk for Baylor, a good chunk for Texas, and a nice small little chunk for the field. It's like 45 KU, then a gigantic chunk that's just the field. Because, I'll be brutally honest, if K-State won the Big 12, I would not be stunned. I don't think they will, because this is such a gauntlet of a conference, but with the way they're playing right now, I mean, Iowa State's also 3-0 in the conference.
I know, that's crazy.
I never really believe in because they're so painful to watch offensively. I don't trust them to actually win enough games, but they're playing well. TCU has found themselves a groove. Now, granted, that groove got disrupted with their most recent loss
to Iowa State.
But still, I'm going to go 45 KU, but I think with how deep the conference is, you have to give the field more than 50 now. As great as KU is, they're the ones I think as an individual team have the best chance. But the field grows for me because this conference is deep. There is, we have always talked about there not being a night off, but there's always kind of been. There's been, no offense to K-State. The past couple of years, K-State's been the night off.
Yes, of course.
That truly doesn't exist. The night off, for the first time in a while, does not exist. We talked about it. Oklahoma State and Oklahoma are two teams who are they can't really score, so we'll kind of see. They play slow. But no, even these aren't nights off. Oklahoma State has the worst overall record of any team in the Big 12. It's still not going to be fun for K-State tonight.
No.
I'm going 45% KU, but the field is growing for me because I lean the Hawks with the general principle of I usually pick them until I see someone beat them because just shadow of a doubt, best coach wins. But
I'm still at 50%. And I think a lot, like right now, Baylor, they're 0-3. They're 0-3. Like I thought Baylor had a chance to win the league. Texas, if they lose to TCU, they're going to be 2-2 in the league. KU wins today, they're going to be 4-0. I mean, they already got a 2-game lead. So I'm still at 50%. Still at 50%.
That's fair. That's fair, but just this conference is just it's a doozy. Speaking of that, though, what are the odds the Big 12 gets 9 teams in the NCAA tournament?
Okay, I thought you were going to say 10, and I was going to tell you 0%.
No, I'm not going to go that far because just 10 can't happen. No. I don't think that math can happen.
9
but I'll
teams,
go 9. That's as high as I'm ever willing to go.
I'm going to say 20%. I don't think 9 teams get in. The amount of just, you're going to have like 4, 11, and 7 teams, 3, or you'll have like 3 10 and 8 teams, 2 9 and 9 teams, and then 3 8 and 10 teams to get 9. Like you got to go at least 8 and 10 in the conference. I'm assuming that. I don't think you can get in going 7 and 11 in this conference. I don't see that happening. So
that's fair.
I think 8 is like 60%.
Yeah,
but
I don't feel strongly that 8 teams will probably get in.
I don't think 9 is doable, and I don't think 10 is doable.
For what it's worth, in the latest bracketology from Joe Lenardi, 9 Big 12 teams are in, including Oklahoma and Oklahoma State is the last 4 in. I am looking at things correctly, West Virginia is the only Big 12 team not in the breakdown as of now.
They will have, if you can get to 7 wins, you're going to have 7 quad 1 wins.
Yeah, because that's what's helpful for the Big 12 is every win's good.
Every win will be a quad 1 win right now because the worst team in the Big 12 right now in like Ken Palm is ranked like 40th.
Yeah. They're amazing.
40th.
They're amazing.
That's why you got to have some type of wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're Oklahoma State and you go 7 and 11 in the conference,
what are your quality wins to really back up your resume?
Well, I don't even know if you just got the wins. What did Oklahoma State have? Like their
non-con was 8-4.
Yeah, so 8-4. So you're gonna get in with 15 wins? No, you ain't getting in with 15 wins. You're gonna have to do something in the Big 12 tournament. You get 15 wins, you go 7 and 11. But let's say you win 2 games in the Big 12 and you get to the semifinals.
That helps.
Then you got 17 wins. Yeah. Now we're talking.
Yeah, what hurts a team like Oklahoma State, because I think you're right, hurts Oklahoma State, they do not have a good non-con win.
But they'll end up with some good wins.
They will because of the virtue of the conference they play.
But I think you can't get in. So if they what did they go in non-conference play?
8-4.
8-4?
I believe
so. Their record then, if they go 7 and 11.
Would be 15
and 11? No.
15 and 15.
Yeah, you ain't getting in.
Depending on who you beat in the conference, though.
You can't get in if you're 15 and 15. You got to end up with a winning record, which means you'd have to win 2 games in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah.
So you'd have to go 17
and 16.
Oh,
you have to win 1 year in the Big 12 tournament, maybe 16. Well, no.
Because you're going to lose the next game.
Yeah, you're going to lose one. God, math is hard.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you got to go. Yeah. You got to go.
It's tough. I'd go about 20% the 9 teams get in, but
yeah, I don't.
It helps that every single win you get in the Big 12 is good.
I think 8.
There isn't a bad one.
I think 8 wins or 8 teams will get it.
I think that's a fair number to put it.
I think West Virginia and an Oklahoma school will not get in.
That's fair.
Everybody else will, including Kansas State.
Kansas State might be a 4 seed. K-State might be a top 16 seed.
K-State is rolling, and they're rolling down the river. They're doing great. In this conference, you can get on a skid, and it can get bad.
It can happen fast.
So I'm going to wait on that one. What does Lenardi have him right now?
Let me double check. I just closed the tab.
I mean, he's got to have him as a 4 seed.
I believe so.
11.
It'll take me just a quick moment to get it pulled back up here. As long as the internet here cooperates with being relatively fast. There we go. Okay, got it pulled back up here. Let me find K-State. So I believe, yes, Leonardo currently has them as the 4 seed.
Where are they playing?
They would play. They're in the South bracket, is where they would be. They'd be playing Southern Mississippi.
No,
right now.
where?
Where? Greensboro, North Carolina.
Oh, bummer.
Their 5 seed would be Providence.
Where are the sites this year?
So, your big final places.
Okay.
Because I have quite literally the names escaping me. Midwest is in Kansas City again.
The Elite Eight?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Midwest region's Kansas City is their penultimate site.
But we don't want KU to go there. We don't.
Fair.
Because KU doesn't play well in Kansas City.
Fair. The South will be Louisville.
Oh.
The East is New York, so MSG most likely. Unless they get real weird and go to Barclays.
Yeah.
They could. And the West will be Las Vegas.
Oh.
The West will be played at the T-Mobile Center in Las Vegas. T-Mobile Arena. T-Mobile Center's in Kansas City. T-Mobile Arena is Las Vegas. And then there's just, the tiny Des Moines, a regional site this year. Albany, Sacramento.
So Des Moines is the closest one to Kansas.
Des Moines, as right now, Lonardi has KU as the number 1 overall seed. They would go to Des Moines. KU's closest is Des Moines, which means K-State's closest is Des Moines.
Man, that would be awesome if KU and K-State both go to Des Moines. That'd be amazing. So you got
entertaining.
Des Moines, Albany, Sacramento,
Birmingham, Orlando, Denver.
Ooh, Denver.
Yeah, Denver is a regional site this year.
Nice.
I assume it'll be at Ball Arena. I don't know why it wouldn't be.
It would be wherever the Nuggets play.
Yeah, Ball.
Yeah. Columbus, Ohio.
That place. And then Greensboro.
I'm assuming Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, Columbus. I have to assume Columbus, Ohio. And then Greensboro.
Wow. All right.
Right now, K-State's 1 seed in their bracket would be Purdue. They would purd on it.
That's awesome. Man.
Listen, as we all know, nothing bad happened the last time K-State faced a 13 seed in the NCAA tournament.
UC Davis. Ooh,
UC Irvine. Anteaters.
Yeah. Was it Irvine?
Yep, it was Irvine the Anteaters. I know that both just because it happened because I picked UC Irvine to win that matchup and it was a good time. Knew it was coming.
Man, no Dean Wade. That's
hurts.
Coming up next, the Chiefs and their bye week. What's the best thing that they need to work on? In Bramlage and at Allen Fieldhouse. It is. It's going to be exciting. I'm excited. My father-in-law is going to the KU game tonight.
Oh, I hope he has a great time.
Yeah,
he's the greatest building in college basketball.
He's a big basketball guy, and they came up to watch our kids while we were gone, and it just worked out that KU has a home game, the day that they were supposed to leave, and my wife and I both said, hey,
nice reward for watching children while we were gallivanting.
Yes. And so my wife and a little father-daughter date happening today.
I hope they have a great time.
Allen Fieldhouse. And so he's a big basketball guy.
Oh,
and so
I love it.
I told him, hey, you got to get there, like an hour and a half before, go through the Booth Hall of Fame.
Go through the Booth Hall of Fame, just taking the experience of being in the greatest college basketball place on the planet.
Go check out Wilt and all that. And I don't know if the DeBruce Center is open.
I don't know either. I was on campus going to school when it got built, when it got finished. I never took the time to really understand its hours of operation.
Yeah, but I know
I knew it was open when I was on campus for class.
I know it's open during regular hours because it's a regular building. But I don't know if it's open, say, when the basketball team plays.
I got nothing. I have no idea what their plan is.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
No matter what, very cool place, and they will enjoy themselves.
And
the atmosphere should still be pretty good. No the students not fully being back yet kind of always throws that off. But they're mostly probably filing back in by now. They start classes, I think, next week.
Yeah.
So I assume they're starting to file back in. Plus, Oklahoma's usually a decently hot opponent for them to all go and see.
So it should be a good time there. I'm
excited
atmosphere to see what no, granted, I will be asleep by the time they get back home.
Yeah, tip-off's at 8. Game will be over probably a little after 10.
Yeah, by the time you get out of there, 11.
That's
way past my
30.
bedtime.
Yeah.
Way past my bedtime. But I'm looking forward to that. Basketball, because both teams are so good, it makes it more exciting right now.
Oh, yeah.
And that the Chiefs are so good that they get
There's a lot of good sports happening in this area right now.
Yes.
And then there's the Royals.
It's not great. Should they have offered Cueto the $8.5 million? But if you offer Cueto the $8.5 million, what are we doing with these young guys?
You probably should put one more veteran arm in that rotation to have two veteran arms in the rotation. Because I will not call Jordan Lyles a good arm. I refuse to do it. You're not getting Greinke. You need a second. And it better not be Ryan Yarbrough. Put Yarbrough in the pen where he belongs. But that's not what they're going to do. They're not going to get Greinke. And it's going to be Lyles and Yarbrough in the rotation with 3 young guys. And I'm going to want to rip the hair out of my head. I'm going to be happy one every 5 days, and that's when I get to watch Brady Singer pitch. But then knowing he's going to regress like crazy and nothing good's going to happen.
You just went through the whole entire cycle of being the Fulton or the Royal Caster. The Royal Caster's already here, folks. It's already here.
Listen, the Royals play their first spring training game in a month and 2 weeks. Trust me, I'm getting ready. Pitchers and catchers report in a month. I have to get back in the headspace.
Do you realize that you went just?
Oh yeah, I know. I know what just
happened.
happened.
Beautiful thing.
I understand what my life is at this point. Okay, I get it. Well, it's not great.
Well, it is January the 10th.
I know.
You just had an aneurysm on the air over the Royals.
I know. If there's one good piece of content we get to pump out with the Royals anymore, it's people getting to see and hear my reactions to this team.
Good
it
Lord.
Also shaves years off my life.
Good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Jeez. You and your Royals.
I love them. They hate me. Describes a lot of relationships in my life.
I did see that today that Cueto signed for 8.5. I was like, man, I feel like the Royals could have done that.
They could have,
but Cueto's not great anymore.
He had like a sub-3 ERA last year for the White Sox.
Did he really?
He was really good for the White Sox last year.
Really?
I don't know if it was fully sub-3, but it was very good. Like Johnny had an excellent year last year.
Johnny Cueto last year.
Johnny last year finished with a 3.35 ERA in 24 starts.
In 158 innings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but his previous 3 years were...
I mean, the 408 in 2021, better than you could use it to be.
Yeah, honestly,
yes, his 2020...
I don't count that.
Doesn't count. 2019 wasn't good. I'll give you that.
He only pitched in 16 innings, though.
Yeah.
That doesn't count. Man, yeah, why didn't they do that? I thought that was a reasonable number.
Because that means it's a smart move, Jake.
You're just done with them already. That season hadn't even begun yet.
I know.
They're 0-0. New beginnings, man.
I know.
New beginning.
I know how this goes. Spring training is going to roll around. I'm going to get They're going to do a couple nice things in spring training. Some guys are going to look good. I'm going to get my hopes up. Opening day is going to come. They're going to look good for like half a week. And I'll be like, oh, man, they might actually do something. And then it'll crater.
No, it's not. They're going to be
That's how this works.
Nope. It's not how it works. Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with the mic drop. Wrapping things up with this edition of Mic'd Up with Jake and Fulton. All right, Fulton, what do you got?
KU plays Oklahoma tonight. It's probably going to be a slog. It's probably going to somehow make my head hurt because Oklahoma's going to keep it closer than I want to. And no matter my luck, this is the game the Gross brothers finally remember that they shoot threes really well against KU. That all being said, KU is going to win. It's going to be awesome, and it sets us up to continue on the train. That means KU and K-State is going to be a top 10 matchup next week, and I want that so bad because that energy would be unmatched, and it would be amazing.
The Groves will shoot threes.
I know. I'm prepared.
Just be ready.
I'm prepared.
Just be ready for it.
Brendan has to actually watch it.
You're not going to watch it?
I mean, it's different for him. He has to be in the building.
Jerome Tang has done what nobody thought was possible. Take a bunch of guys from the transfer portal and turn them into the number 11th ranked team in the country. They're 14-1. They had 2 guys back from last year, and they are ranked 11th in the country. Jerome Tang started from the bottom. Now they're here. Coming up, we got 580 Sports Talk and then K-State Hoops. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon. Have a great evening.